So we'll just have 10 seconds of quiet, Jarrad. I'm just going to press the magic blue button.
No worries, mate.
Lukey boy. There we are. All right, how are we sounding, gents?
Sounding good.
Good. Lukey, you there? All right, start recording. All right, we'll head it off like we're going live here. So welcome to Jarrad Parker. Lukey's on for a little while. And he's dropping out. He's got a bit on tonight. I'm going a bit lo-fi with my computer here, so no soft, squishy backgrounds for me, and flattering lighting. But my beautiful $6,000 Apple laptop has decided to absolutely die in the ass, and looking down the barrel of a $2,000 data recovery process, and goodness knows what else at the moment. So that my camera started playing up and gone to the shop. So I feel semi-naked as a photographer right now. I can't look at photos or edit photos or take photos at the moment at all. So I had a play last night with my new iPhone camera. So fingers crossed that leads to some more activity, at least in the meantime.
Some beauties.
But it's it's an interesting world when you sort of haven't got your tools of your trade. You know, I mean, I'm a working photographer, Jarrad, so I work all the time. So there's no weekend warrior sort of stuff going on for me. I'm one of those crazy people that tries to rely on it for an income.
Yeah. You feel naked without it, mate.
Which is not for everyone. Evening, Robin. But it's I still love it, and I guess sometimes the universe is just giving me a little bit of a breather at the moment, and I already feel like I've had a bit of a breather. I was away on the Great Barrier Reef for 10 days sailing offshore and doing a bit of crazy drone work off the boat, which is not for the faint-hearted. When your window for landing the drones about 10 centimeters wide between all the wires and railings and ropes, and of course the boat's moving around, and then all the warnings are going off left, right, and center when you think it's coming in closer and you're about to try and catch it, and it won't even come close enough for you to catch it, just running out of batteries.
Yeah, everything keeping you on your toes, mate.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. So yeah,
does happen. Welcome all. Sorry,
evening, Lucky.
Few teething problems running remotely tonight, so appreciate everyone being patient there.
Trying to figure out where Robin's background's from. That's
Patagonia.
Oh, there we go. Jeez, I wish. We're in that transition of seasons now. I was just noticing some of the American kind of online stuff started to talk about winter already. And I was like, oh God, really? And today we had our first semi-taste of the summer, I think. I came back from 28 degrees every day in perfect sunshine to 11 degrees and 3 days of rain. Welcome back to Hobart.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh dear.
Just to tease you.
And then today rocketed back up into the 20s and gave us blue sky all day. So it was a sigh of relief for me, of psychologically at least. It made the blow of depressing phone calls with computers and data recovery people be a little bit easier.
Yeah. Shined a bit of light in your day.
Lukey, anything big in your week this week, mate?
Oh, just catching up on work really, and what I've sort of been. I went over to Bruny Island for a shoot as well, and I've been planning a lot actually, just of shoots to come up really. And there's with things warming up, it's always exciting to think about the potential of going out for some walks, and it's also exciting that some friends can actually come over now as well from or coming up. Tassie opening on the 15th of December, so it's all sort of going back to the COVID normal, I suppose, which is pretty exciting. So that's pretty much about it. But it was nice to spend a bit of time over in Bruny. I know you love it over there too, Paul. So hopefully not too long till I go back there. And and then I've got a workshop next week. So been preparing for that workshop on Bruny Island. So should hopefully be running a few more workshops on Bruny Island over the next year or so. So yeah, if you're keen to go over to Bruny and would like someone to show you around, then yeah, feel free to get in touch.
We had Jane and Jan from the show actually that found out about it. They come over and we had a rocking time earlier this year. That was one of the best actually. And that was I was the last minute rigging for a few days. Special guest to the Luke Sharkey show, but that was great.
Oh, well, such a gem of a place, Bruny. So we have done a show on it. So if you're not sure what we're talking about, look that one up. And yeah, magic.
Yeah,
so,
it's sort of been home away from home for about 22 years over here. I spent a lot of time there. And there's a lot of beautiful nooks and crannies, it's kind of like a microcosm of Tassie in a way, and that there's so much variety and scope in one place. Being, that's what islands are like, particularly when they're out in the ocean, like ours are. They're just very prone to kind of extreme and quite rapid weather changes. It always keeps you on your toes, and there's always a lot of variety, which is a little different from the West Coast, Jarrad, where you might get the same view for 150 days a year.
Well, it's definitely changing, mate. This year's we're still getting winter weather now. We had a couple of sneaky, nice warm days and looked like winter was on its way out. But just the last couple of weeks, it's holding on.
Well, I was in Perth. I actually went over and saw Tony Hewitt's show.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Continue. I don't know if you managed to get into that, but geez.
Nah, I've missed it twice. The last 2 times now, yeah. Itching. I've got one of the family friends was kind enough to bring back one of the books from the exhibition, so I got to look through that, but that was a bit more of a tease and getting
it's we'll talk about it later.
It would have been easier not to look at it, put it that way.
we're gonna get Jarrad to talk a little bit about pretty later in the show, but it's, as you know, mate, it's another realm when you actually look at an absolutely masterfully produced print.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It's definitely a different experience altogether from just pixels on a small screen.
It is.
I was just thinking, Loki, I've got competitions on the mind a little bit because I always enter the International Landscape Awards. I managed to make the top 100 every year it's been done so far, and I just realised my computer's stuffed and I'm not about to enter. And then Appers is due at the same time. So I'm like, oh, crap. That's going to be interesting. I might have to pull some rabbits out of the hat in the next 2 weeks. So we'll see how it goes.
You haven't had a good stretch, mate. I think last time we were talking, you were talking about the hard drives that you'd lost.
Oh, that was a few years ago now. But it's just every few years have a bit of bad luck. I had, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, I had a bag stolen literally from between my legs on a train, sorry. They literally snuck their hands underneath from behind the seat and pulled it out from between my legs and ran out the door of the train with it. And I didn't realize till halfway through after the doors had closed that I couldn't go after them. And it had my hard drive. They had my full computer with a customized solid state drive, the last of the 17-inch MacBook screens with the matte finish, which they don't make anymore. Brilliant for post work, even better, I think, than the modern ones, to be honest. And 4 hard drives, no less. So about 12 terabytes of data, and my camera and 2 lenses. It was like losing an arm. It was like, oh, God. I'd had all the hard drives in different places, could have been traveling, so I had them there as backups. And I literally spent the day cruising around, picking them up from the different places, and I was on the way to the airport to go home. So literally, that was the only time I had that vulnerability, and it was just all gone. And it's like, as I found out today, you can have the best computer, you can have insurance, you can have backups. My backups failed in this case, and also even though I've got Apple Care, they won't cover data. So it's like it's their fault the hard drives died, but it's like too bad on the 2 terabytes of data you got on there. So it's a few harsh lessons coming through. There's not too many things I would have done differently, but maybe
I don't think there's much you could have done differently.
Fourth backup, but
I had my own data loss issue, and it was totally my fault in terms of just a bad process. So it happens to the best of us, really. In terms of I was just saying to someone today, actually, we handle thousands and thousands of files over many years, and the likelihood that something could go wrong over that period of time is pretty high, actually. So I never thought I would be in that position myself. I didn't lose a lot, but I lost something pretty important, and it's very hard to cope with that sometimes.
Hard to talk yourself around.
Well,
That's right.
this is
Thankfully, with mine,
different.
I can reshoot it all, so it's not a big
Like I
drama.
haven't lost the photographs because I've got hard drives with all the backups, but I've lost all the work that I've done on the photographs.
Yeah,
like a couple of years worth. So that's
well, I still think that's
time-wise, that's crazy.
I would say it's way worse losing the that's the better of two evils, I think.
It's the better of two evils. It's also thousands of hours of work basically. So
and it means if you want to enter a competition or something like that, you would have to potentially go from scratch and things like that. So it's definitely not
anyway, I'm still alive.
Maybe next week will be even better.
Painful, very painful.
Bombs dropped on me, and I'm living in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So as far as the bigger picture of the world goes, I'm still alive and I'm still fine.
That's it.
But it's a little bit soul rattling. So we'll see. I haven't given up. I'm going to have a chat to Betty A after this, Lukey. Betty Aldridge, who's a good friend of ours and a bit of a guru. And we'll see if I get a chance. I might not be able to enter Appas, Lukey, which would suck.
Oh man,
the state awards as well, because it's in like 12 days or something. And
might be a couple of boys smiling, Paul.
The guys at the data recovery said 3 to 4 weeks. So I was just like, oh, oops. Plus the mailing time there and back. I was like, I don't think I'm going to get a what do you call it, where you can enter later. But anyway,
hopefully you go all right, and some of the other stuff you've entered in the meantime, and that might make up for it. So
fingers crossed. I'm waiting for the Natural Landscape Awards to get announced on the 1st of November. I put a few in there, so fingers crossed.
Nice.
Anyway, enough about us. We have a wonderful guest on the show, Jarrad Parker. I've been eyeing up his work for years now, and we haven't physically met. So one of the great joys of the show, I think, is to reach out to people whose work I admire and appreciate and get inspired by, and ask them to come on so I can actually meet him and get to know him and get to know each other. And I have to say, it's been really enriching getting to know a lot of new photographers that I haven't met through the show this year, and getting to know others I have known even better. And that's one of the great joys, I think, personally, for Luke and I and Nick sort of volunteering our time to create these shows is just building up community and friendships and also learning a few things. I'm not shy about. There's a few things I want to ask Jarrad about. That he works on in particular that might come up later in the show. So. And Jarrad, as he said to me just before, he wouldn't just do this with just anyone he said, but he said, "Hey, Luke, you're a good dude, so we're pretty relaxed." So we're lucky enough to get him off his busy schedule and come out with us. So thanks a lot, Jarrad.
Appreciate you having us on, guys. Good.
Anytime we have anyone join us, it's a real privilege because people just do it just because they want to contribute just like we do. So it's fantastic.
No, definitely. No, I appreciate being on. Yeah, good opportunity to share a bit about myself. I'm probably one of the quieter ones, but I've always admired your guys' work big time and seen you around the traps here and there, yourself, Lukey, and Paul online. So it's nice to actually, have a chat. And
you certainly echo Paul's sentiments as well. I've been following your work for a long time and I've always been very, very impressed. So certainly I'm very keen to see what you have today. I do have to mention that I'll probably have to drop off in a little bit, but I'll definitely be catching up as well. So, it's really, really awesome to have you with us.
Yeah, no, cheers. Appreciate it.
Jarrad and I went back and forth a little while, like talking about the title, and we come up with, Jarrad came up with it, enriching, kind of how, the essence of it is how photography enriches your life. It's sort of, in some ways you can look at that on a very sort of superficial level. Oh yeah, well, it's just nice, isn't it? And yet, for me personally, it just weaves so much magical sort of experience and kind of challenge, accomplishments, insights, growth. It really influences my well-being and lifts my spirit up. It has a really, really incredible role that weaves through my life in so many ways. It just enriches everything, and that's not always the case for everyone, but it certainly is for me. And without me even mentioning that, Jarrad came up with that for himself. So it's going to be interesting to reflect on that kind of role, and maybe through tonight, the listeners, they might come up with some different sort of ways of thinking, or even certain practices or ways to apply photography in a way that might even enrich their lives even further. So just keep an open mind as we go through the show tonight. And in terms of that,
it's always nice when always nice when things get a bit more about, it's not just all about the photos, but it's so much more about what's going on in people's lives and how that affects. So that sounds great.
Everything in between. I think we sort of get caught up in the images and, getting out there, and it's, definitely not educating anyone on how photography does enrich their life, but it is nice just to take a bit of a pause and actually focus on, especially the time, you guys over the east, and it's been a different story in WA. So forgive any chat that might step on what's been happening, but yeah, obviously WA has been in a different position. So
I don't worry, we've had the same.
We've been through that, mate.
Well, so,
it's all good.
Yeah, it's certainly very it's really weird to be in a situation where you have so much different level of freedoms to other people, but thankfully things are definitely opening up now, and that'll be a thing of the past, fingers crossed. So
so I was thinking it was just sort of a good time just to maybe just focus on the good things that photography does give to us, that we can sometimes take for granted, really.
At the very least, you might leave the show with just having a quiet smile and maybe not taking things for granted. As Jarrad said, it's a bit of a privileged kind of opportunity sometimes, photography in a certain realm, depending on how you look at it. And but it's become the biggest kind of pastime in the world, really. Maybe next to soccer. I think it's pretty big. If you count, Africa and South America and all these other places that don't have access to technology and the kind of money to buy cameras, that's probably one of the biggest pastimes. But certainly in the Western world, it's massive, and it serves lots of different roles in people's lives. And it's going to be interesting to reflect on what it serves in Jarrad's and how that reflects on our own. So
that's right. All the journeys are individual, aren't they? I mean, Jarrad sort of touched on it before. Like, he might feel like what he's saying isn't applicable to everybody, but I don't think anyone says is going to be applicable to everybody. So it's and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people watching that can identify with your perspective too. So it's always awesome to hear how other people what photography means to them.
No, for sure.
Jarrad, I might start with that question, Jarrad. Like, what, and you can, I know you're going to go backwards and start from the beginning, but just touching base on that, how would you describe the role that photography has in your life? And that might just set the scene for how we start the show. What does it you to even have it in your life?
Well, it weaves through pretty thick, to be honest. I don't just from everything from I used to always get out there as well, just to explore and just be out in the landscape and take things in, but just the different degree that it's given me an appreciation for the things that are there, the way that it's allowed me to express that appreciation. That's probably the biggest thing, I would say.
Do you feel like you do that a lot more now because you have photography to sort of drive you to do that, or was it more that you were already out there, but now you've got a camera in hand?
No, definitely. No, you're spot on. I did it as I'll discuss. I've always loved the outdoors, so I'd always be out there. But photography definitely opens up just a way to motivate you to get out there, probably more often in more situations, or definitely more situations than I would otherwise. I've taken trips that I wouldn't be taking, back in the day when I didn't have a camera. Things like cruising down to the Stirling Ranges, straight after a hard day, and getting down there for the weather the next morning, and then doing the hikes, and then cruising back for work for the
quite
next
a drive
day
too, isn't it? Like, that's
pretty
significant from Perth.
Yeah, it's 5 hours. It's funny, it doesn't seem as far for some reason heading down there, but but it is. It's 5 hours by the time you get in from where I am. So I'm just based in Joondalup, just in Perth metro. So for the drive there, it's a good 5 hours, and at that time
you walk as well. So
well, the hike, that's a different story. But you've got the drive, and after hours, a lot of the time I've been down there, it's dark, so you've got to take your time. So it's a long drive, but for some reason it seem, as far as, you know, if you think 5 hours from Perth, you could get to Kalbarri in a similar sort of time. For some reason, it just doesn't seem quite as far as Kalbarri. So, but yeah, no, photography definitely gets me out there more than what I would otherwise if I didn't have a camera in my hand.
It's certainly got the
Definitely.
amazing power to do that, hasn't it? And I can certainly identify with that myself. And you know, and I guess you can then reflect on all of the different experiences that you would have had you not been taking photos as well.
Exactly.
Where's some places that you think photography sort of taken you that you probably wouldn't have got to without the camera?
The aerial side of things, that whole area is stemmed off directly from photography. So all that work, the things that I've seen and the places I've been with that, like we just went up to Roebuck Bay and did a big trip up Cape Leveque, and so things like that. I don't, you know, sightseeing maybe later on down the track. I could have got there, but not in the way, and I wouldn't have seen the things that I've seen. So definitely the aerial side of things. Yeah, that's just trying to think what else. I'd probably, yeah, the landscape stuff.
I guess you'd still go there as a sightseer anyway, but with aerials, you know, why would you spend all that money to go up in a plane and see the landscape from above? You know, it's just hard to interact with it like to that level if you're not, you know,
that's
soaring
right.
over it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You wouldn't, but the way you get to appreciate the land, the things once you get up there and you see the way that everything intertwines with each other, and you definitely learn a lot from the things that you see being up there. So
yeah, that's the most striking thing for me, Jarrad, is the interconnectivity you can witness, and from the air that you have no idea of at a ground level, especially in WA when it's just like a brown heat haze just whenever you look.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't see many features at all. Then all of a sudden you see the way gullies move into the stream systems, which move into the canyons, which, you know, can run down from the hill structures, and you can see the way the vegetation lines the waterways, and you get this whole kind of sense of the intertwining and how everything's sort of connected with each other that you don't, it's really difficult to get a sense of at ground level.
That's right. Yeah, and you can, I mean, once you get up there, you can see exactly what you're saying. You can see, you know, so far out in front of you. It brings all the details of the land that much closer together that you're seeing a picture of how everything works from, well, say a trip from Cervantes. So there's a few salt lakes up there that I've done. So just from that one sort of area, I can see how the dune systems then run into the farmlands, and how that interacts with the lands reaching further inland, and then you get the salt lakes, and you see how they all work with each other and stem through. So you're seeing salt lakes that stretch from Three Springs down to Yarra Lakes, and just, you know, from the ground there'd be individual salt lakes that you pass every so often, but once you get into the air you can see how they all sort of feed off each other and run into each other, and it's just, yeah, it's a different world.
And you're probably arguably living in, you know, the best place for it, maybe even in the world, in terms of the diversity and variety of landscapes that you have, or aerial scapes maybe that you have to photograph there. Have you had much chance to, I guess, spread the wings past WA, or is it, you know, you've got more than enough there to keep you busy, sort of thing?
Yeah, we're pretty lucky over here. I mean, there's places that I've got in my mind, which I'll you know, hopefully get to one day once everything sort of changes pace a bit. But yeah, mostly it's all been WA, to be honest. I can't definitely not complain with what we've got here, and there's more boxes to tick off. So I'll just keep ticking with the things that I have in my backyard. And
it's pretty big backyard, right?
It is pretty big, mate. It's pretty big. Yeah, we're very lucky, mate.
Bigger than most countries in the world, so.
Yeah, but the variety as well. I mean, that's why there's so many boxes to tick. You can, yeah, just jumping on Google Earth, as a lot of us know you do when you're looking for things. You can just go down that wormhole, and that list will never be. You'll never tick them all off, I don't think. So,
I think Tony Hewitt's having a good crack at it, but
I just took the words out of my mouth. He's had a pretty good crack. I think he's covered a vast majority of it. So, but I think he'd still have boxes to tick. I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So,
I think it's like if you don't have those sort of things to look forward to and work on and drive yourself to do, then it'd be hard to really, might as well hang up the camera, really, isn't it? You need to have those next things to kind of drive you forward, I think.
Yeah, well, you just start looking further and further.
Yep.
I'm curious whether it's going to be like a bit of a slingshot when things open up, when people just racing to get out to places they've been dreaming about for the last 2 years or whatever.
Well, that's what's been happening over here. Yeah, everything's booked.
If you try rebound, yeah.
If you try and book anything up north or even down south, in WA at the moment, you're looking. It's all pretty packed. Everyone's out there. Yeah, everyone's out. Out around town and doing the things that they've been thinking about.
Even in NT, mate, I was in Darwin and it wasn't a single bed in the entire city.
Yeah, okay.
Not even a tent site in a campground.
Yeah, not surprised.
I spent a week on this guy's floor in his living room with 9 people living in the house.
Oh, you can do what you can do. I've done that up at Expo, mate.
It was a nice living room, though. I loved it.
Best way to do it, but yeah,
you didn't pay any accommodation the whole trip, wasn't it, Paul? Like you've got a way with doing those sort of things.
I paid 2 nights at a campground, I think, in 5 weeks.
That's amazing. Yeah, you've got it. That's a skill in itself for sure. There's no.
I've had a lot of practice, mate. When you live on my budget, that's the only way to go, mate. Spend it all on planes rather than accommodation.
Obviously, got a bunch of good blokes that appreciate you, Paul.
Yeah, well, I mean, I give and take.
That's right.
If I stay with someone, then I'll do a portrait session with their family, or gift them some prints, or buy all their food for the week, or there's lots of different forms of exchange, and I find photography one of the most beautiful ones, to be honest, rather than just cold hard cash. It's got a lot of soul to it. It's got a lot of you to it, and it's kind of special.
Got some
value for you doing that for someone else is astronomical, really, compared to what it would actually be worth. So but I don't present it that way, but I'm aware of that in the back of my mind. But it's it's a very universal kind of a tool and gift, really, that just about anyone from any culture, age, gender, language can appreciate. It's beautiful like that.
Probably the best way of doing things, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to know the locals and a bit more a part of the community rather than.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a hotel, it's like, oh, sure, you get a bit of space, but who do you meet?
Yeah, that's right.
The cleaning lady or the desk clerk or something. Like, to me, that's not travel. That's just being stuck in a hotel room in a different place. And it's like, well,
moving from point.
How do I learn and grow from that? Not a lot. And as I say to a lot of people, you might not want my retirement plan, but you probably would want my memory bank, because it's pretty amazing, full of all sorts of wonderful things.
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about. It touches on it, doesn't it? It's you're going to take your memories with you. You're going to take those experiences and the things you've seen. Money's in one hand, out the other. It's
and relationships too. The amount of friendships I built around the world, like this trip around Australia, Loki, I deliberately connected with, amazing photographers everywhere I went. And some of the best in the local area. And whenever I flew, I was flying with another photographer. Whether it was in Perth, whether it was in East Kimberley, whether it was in the Tanami, whether it was in Tiwi Islands, whether it was in Gulf Carpentaria, it was a great opportunity, and I would shoot video for them, and they'd shoot video for me. So some of them have made promo videos out of the stuff I shot for them. So they've, which they wouldn't be able to get. They'd have to hire some pro to do that otherwise. So it's been a lot of sort of, I might have been scouting to do a workshop with someone somewhere else and critiquing each other's work and trying out each other's equipment and getting inspired by the way each other sees. It's a bit of a win-win, really. Just everyone wins. And
it's no brainer, but I still don't know many people that could pull it off like you do.
Not quite for the faint-hearted, but sometimes some of the situations I'm in. But that's all right.
You got to not be scared to rough it here and there to get what you want.
I got to live it up. I mean, as you can tell, I probably haven't looked at the mirror. I had a shave recently.
I had a shave for the show, mate. Don't worry.
I do have
wasn't that far behind you.
Fresh new clothes on, though, and I'm definitely clean as a whistle.
I'm just going to need to drop off, guys. So look, I'm sorry I have to do that, but yeah,
Okay.
I'll leave you in Paul's capable hands, Jarrad, and
No
yeah,
worries at all.
fantastic to have you with us, mate, and I'll definitely be catching back on the show, and yeah, hopefully can catch up soon as well.
Yeah, for sure, mate. No, good. Good to
Yeah,
speak to you.
thanks for
easy,
coming.
mate.
Like, you really appreciate it, mate.
No worries. Cheers. See ya.
See you, mate.
Enjoy. So, Joe, we haven't really had a chance for you to sort of start what you want to present or talk about your backstory or anything. So I might sort of take a back step and let you kind of take the reins on how you want to roll with that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So obviously, yeah, my name's Jarrad Parker. I'm landscape photographer from Perth, Western Australia. 41 years old. Had a little bit of a quiet year, probably closer to 2. I've just had a couple of young boys, got a young family going, so that's kept life pretty hectic. Yeah. So that takes up a fair good chunk of the time along with work. So I'm a sign writer by trade, signs and graphics. So it keeps me pretty busy. So yeah, it's a bit of a juggle trying to get out there to scratch a photography itch and juggle the kids and get work done. But I'm lucky I'm busy with the sign writing and the graphic side of things as well. So definitely not.
How's that gone through COVID, Jarrad?
We're pretty lucky, to be honest. Yeah, we had obviously the first time that it kicked in, it was all a bit hairy there for a while. We probably had a stint for about a month where we were really quiet. I had to step down, just went back to doing sort of 1 or 2 days. But after that, it's been pretty steady sailing, actually. We've got, with what I do, we deal with a lot of mining and resources and stuff like that. So obviously with the COVID, science is in a good position because even with COVID, you've got all the screening and the testing. So you need signage for that. The mine sites need all their signage for the things that they were doing to be proactive. And you got people advertising. So that it doesn't seem to matter too much what's going on. We sort of always tend to bounce through, lucky enough. Everything sort of levels out. So we've got quiet there just for a little bit, but it's been after that month or so, we're pretty flat out the whole way through. So, and then I've got a little thing that I do on the side with the wrapping, mainly graphics. So I'm building a little business on the side as well, just focusing on the wrapping side of things. So me and another bloke do that. So that's something else that I've been juggling as well. So what does that mean,
wrapping?
So wrapping vehicles, cars, like color changes. I won't bore you with all the details, but yeah, basically putting stickers on cars or planes or boats.
Oh, wrapping. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. It's pretty varied. So I enjoy it. And, you know, I get to do a lot of the graphic design. So I'll produce the graphics for the vehicles. Customer will come with an idea and I'll sort of make that happen and produce the artwork and produce the print and install it. So yeah, there's always something different to do. So
you know, I've been wanting to do that for years on my car. Partly as a business branding thing. But somebody put me off and said, as soon as you got photography written on your car, that all the thieves are going to be all over it.
Well, I was going to say, as long as you take the stuff out at the end of the day.
I never thought of that. It totally put me off.
Yeah.
And now my car's probably getting too old for me to be excited about labeling it. I've had it for about 12 years. So it's sort of like, might have missed the window on that one.
Yeah, maybe.
When I get rich and famous, I'll look you up.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, no, you got to be careful around Perth as well. You got to. There's always the dodgies out there. So maybe keep it discreet so they can't see it unless they're next to the actual vehicle, mate. So you're not screaming what you've got in the car.
Well, I don't know where you're at with your presentation, but it's I don't think we want to wait too much longer where they're just staring it out. So we look at some pictures, but at the same time, if you need a bit of room for your backstory, then
no, for sure. Yeah, so I'm a sign writer by trade, obviously, so that keeps my hand in with the graphics and gives me a bit of joy there. But I'll probably just go through my backstory a little bit. So when I was a young boy, I passion for the outdoors and the landscapes started when I was young. So I grew up in a suburb called Craigie, which is it's not far from the coast. So I spent a lot of time as I was from a kid, down the coast with mum. Mum loved the beach. My grandfather loved the beach. So whether we're down the road at Mullaloo or up at, Cottesloe or along those coastlines, we're, always on the beach or out in the boat, or Pop was taking us out through the bushland for walks and explaining things like the trees, and even to the point of the stars, taking us out, teaching us things through the telescope and just opening our mind there. So I was pretty lucky to have a grandfather like that I did. The time that he spent with us and the things that he showed us was awesome. So that definitely made everything sprout in a big way. So after, obviously as a kid you're running around, we were enjoying it's different now. You don't have the bushland in WA unless you travel quite a lot further out. So a lot of kids miss out on that now, but we were lucky to have a lot of that around us. So then as I grew up a little bit, I was obviously, back in the 90s, skating and doing all that sort of stuff. Started going with friends down, they were bodyboarders and surfers.
That was my next question. You're a wave rider?
Well, I wasn't. I tried, but I wasn't any good, mate. I couldn't read the waves. You guys that surf, there's a vision you guys have. So I used to struggle just getting out. I was all right. I could ride the waves, but when the surf got decent, just trying to get out the back, and I just couldn't do it like the boys. So that actually,
to be fair, you got some of those powerful waves in the world out there, Jarrad. I've been riding waves my whole life since 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I consider myself pretty experienced. So when I go to WA, I got to take a deep breath before I paddle out some of those places, right?
Yeah. I wasn't so much that, mate. Some of the stretches on down south. Yeah, I got a couple of the boys laughed at us here and there. I struggled big time once you start hitting that bigger surf, but yeah, it was. So basically, anyway, I didn't have the skills, mate. So that forced me to stay on the shoreline, and I picked up a video camera and started filming the boys.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was fun, and I also got to soak in the surrounds. I can sit in the landscape and I can watch clouds pass over the beach or scatter the light for far too long. So that was good for me. I got to still see the boys doing their thing. We got some memories to take home, got some good footage, and I got to soak up, what was around me. So that was a good chunk of when I was younger. Also, the art side of things. So the appreciation for the landscape is, just as a young boy from grandfather and that. And the art side of things, I used to draw a lot, spend a lot of time drawing as well from a young boy. So my mother was quite creative, and my auntie was really creative as well. So my auntie, she lives down south as well. She's an artist down there. She does a lot of quirky sort of drawings. It's Jen Thomas Art, if anyone's interested. She's got some really cool stuff if anyone likes the art side of things. So I was always picking up a lot of the cool stuff that she was drawing, and fascinated with the pictures and the quirky pictures that she'd do and the stuff that Mum would do. So I drew a lot as a child, and that was sort of like a mainstay. So that sort of scratched an itch in me, a creative itch that when I was younger, I didn't really, when you're older and if you haven't done something for long enough, you start getting itchy feet and you start feeling about, as a young kid, I didn't know that was sort of a thing. So drawing, the hours that I spent drawing was hours and hours. It was, I was pretty fixated on getting my art right and learning how to draw more properly, draw better, and that started things in school. So I was obviously doing art in school, but that pushed me into photography at school as well, just trying to explore the artistic side of the photography at school. So we did a lot there. It was on film. So that actually sparked an interest in photography, along with the drawing and getting creative. So then after leaving school, my drawing sort of, it started quietening off. Obviously, as you get a bit older, you get a bit busier and work kicks in and things like that. So I ended up with work, going up to leaving school, starting a printing traineeship. I finished that. That was good. It helped me learn a lot of things about translating photos and drawings to print and learning colors and things like that. But after I did that, I was sort of a bit of a, I also did sheet metal work, which I enjoyed. It was pretty creative. Some of the stuff we do there was always something different, forming things out of metal. Also scratched an itch to my creative side. So that was really good. But yeah, with work and everything, by the time I got a little bit older, I was not drawing as much, not doing photography, and sort of feeling really itchy. You get a bit of a niggle and you don't sort of really realize what it is when you haven't experienced it before. This is sort of the first patch where I'm becoming an adult and I'm getting busy, and all of a sudden this creative side's not getting seen to as much as what it should. So after that, I got to a point where I was had a couple of things going in life as a young man, friends moving away, things changing. So I shook things up and forced a bit of a change on myself. We had the cyclones back in 2000 up Exmouth. So once that came through, I decided to go up there and spend some months up there and help rebuild some of the damage that was done. And while I was up, it was awesome. It's hard work. We were redoing sheds and lots of different stuff.
I imagine.
Say again?
Hot work too, I imagine.
It was hot, yeah. And the footings, we had to do metre by metre footings for obviously cyclone proofing. So trying to get through that Exmouth dirt, digging out a metre by metre cavity for your footings. We were literally doing it with a jackhammer, chiseling it out. We weren't digging it, we were chiseling it. But anyway, it was having all that. I mean, you know what Exmouth's like. So while I wasn't working up there, I'd get out and go for walks, take the dogs, and just go walking and spend a lot of time just wandering around out there. But then I decided I was going to start taking photos, just more happy snaps, but just to remember the area and the places that I was going, and the sunsets that I was seeing, and this, that, and the other. So that was sort of the first time that I picked up the camera since high school. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting out. It wasn't, it was happy snaps. I wasn't sort of dedicating the time to take photos. I was just sort of snapping them as I was wandering around and stuff like that. But it kept the spark alive. And so then, I've come back from Exmouth, and that sort of set off me thinking about photography. And then I came back, we started skating again. So I got back into the videography and started getting back down south. And that's when I started walking into Christian Fletcher's gallery. So every time we'd get down south, that was the thing for me. Other people go off and grab their food and do their bits and pieces, but I'd wander into Christian's gallery and just get lost in there for a while.
You can get lost in there. It's fantastic.
Mate.
I try and catch up with him every time I come through. He bought me lunch last time. Thanks, Christian.
But yeah, you can. But it got me thinking every time I walked in there, I'd just look at the pictures and the photographs, and just it was so much different from the other stuff that I'd seen. I hadn't jumped in, researching or, dedicating time to looking through photography. I'd sort of digest what had come across my path, but I actually made an effort. That's when I first started making an effort to dedicate time and noticing the differences in, you see something like Christian Fletcher's work, and then you see, let's say, some more happy snap sort of landscape photography. I just hadn't seen anything of the
Caliber.
The caliber and approaching on the art side. It was
the artistic intentionality through
yeah,
is really, really present if you spend time with it.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, so that just blew my mind and got me contemplating some things. And it was a few more times I put back in there, and then I just said, there was one picture I remember, I think it was from down south. Anyway, just a panoramic portrait, but just the flow of the water, the atmosphere in the shot. I remember that shot, and it was just, while I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually go and get a camera. And this time that I'm spending getting in the outdoors and doing the things I'm doing, I'm actually going to cross over. I'm going to start dedicating the time, rather than taking happy snaps and just plugging away while I'm out there. I'm going to make an effort to record those places in sort of the best way possible that I knew, composition wise. Start focusing, spending the time on composing, getting there at the right time, and just trying to leave the places now with a photograph or an image that sort of spoke to me and made me happy. Because when I'm out in a landscape, and you're away from all the noises and that, you can start having a bit of a conversation with the land. You start getting a bit of a feel for the character, and when you get some weather, nice weather passing over, and just the way the clouds dance across the sky and scatter the light across, dune systems, and it can take you to another place. It can really it gets you thinking. It's a kind of meditation, just where it takes you. So I wanted to put some of that depth into the photography that I was doing, and was trying to push more in a direct way of being happy to artistically put my impact into those efforts of capturing those places. So that was in 2000. I'm trying to think, 2015. Towards the end of 2015. So that was it for me. I've decided to start getting out there and dedicating the time into getting the photos and getting to some of the places that I'd wanted to, and getting them in the conditions that I know that I'd seen and I knew that I could get, and rather than just getting there of a daytime and wandering through the area, I started dedicating like 2 or 3 days to an area, and we'd just drive around and soak up what the area had and pick off what I felt from the area and try to put that into my images. So that pushed me down the road of getting more heavily into it. But I used to think, what am I going to do with all these photos that I'm taking? And then it wasn't till a little ways in that I started appreciating what I was getting from the time I was spending out there. So the things that I was witnessing and the feelings that I was getting, the thoughts that I was going through while being out there. And it started being like, it started being more than just the photography. And with work and that, I'd noticed that niggling that I had from not drawing and stuff that I'd felt for quite a while. As soon as I started dedicating that time and made that conscious choice, that niggling that I had just totally went away. And I started enjoying the photography far more than the drawing side of things. So I haven't picked up a pen since I picked up a camera.
Jarrad, are you up for starting to maybe give us some visuals so we can kind of translate your process into
yeah, for sure.
what we're seeing through? It's sort of I'm getting thirsty. I saw a tasting before the show, so I was like, I don't want to miss out on too many. We're almost an hour in, so
trying to string it all together. Let's bring up these landscapes.
Yeah, Jared's one of these rare people that hasn't had 2 years on Zoom during COVID. It's like, I think I used it once. So you're putting me on the spot here technically to get that all up and running. We had a bit of a check before the show, so I think we'll be right. But
I just bring up these landscapes. Sorry, 2 seconds more.
Oh, good, man. That's the beauty of it not being a 20-minute show. We've got a bit of time up our hands.
Exactly. All right, so I'll just.
Oh, you see this picture out behind me? I don't know if you recognise it. I've mentioned it before in the show. It's one of another WA legend, Mr. Chris Saunders.
Saunders, yeah, he is a legend.
I rolled out one of his last night that I bought off him as part of a. I was supporting the fires. So it was 2 years ago, and Chris was generous enough to offer some of his work to support that, and so I bought one basically for the cause. And the print got arrived, and it's actually maybe 4 times bigger than that. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around.
The print's like, I think 1.2 or 3 meters or something on each edge, plus what's around it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can afford to frame it. So I'm trying to figure out how to best enjoy his work. If you got some ideas, Chris, give me a bell.
I love Chris's work. He's unbelievable. His color and the subjects, his color works are unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got another exhibition coming up shortly with Chris Darkey, and I think I just saw it announced last night. But anyway, we're here to look at your images. So I'm not sure if you're whipping through already, or you're going back to the start, or you're.
Yeah, sorry, mate. It's skipping through here for me.
Oh, is it like on a slideshow where it's just kind of whipping through?
Yeah. Okay, so when I get into the landscapes, obviously there's so much there. So a lot of my stuff is intimate textures and abstracts, and tends to be a little bit more on the intimate side of things.
Why do you think that is, Jarrad? Like sometimes you do it, and sometimes there's some thought behind it, and sometimes one comes before the other.
I think overall, it's sort of, when I was drawing, I was sort of a graphic, sort of very rendered graphic sort of style, and I think that's why textures, the details in the scene really pull at me. So getting into the landscape and noticing these different sort of textures and color clashes, and I think that's just the graphic side of things, graphical side of things. I think a lot of it comes from drawing, stems from that, I believe. I'll just skip through these, sorry. So you'll see a lot of the stuff that I've taken is just local areas, not far from Perth. Other than the aerials, my straying, I don't cover that bigger area. I'm not a world traveler. I've been to England and New Zealand, and that's Rome. That's pretty much the sum of it, and I'm quite content just wandering around my own backyard and pulling what I can from here. So it's these mornings as well. We've got so much here. You've got the dune systems and, you know, the gorges up north and, you know, the Stirling Ranges down south and, you know, Denmark and the beautiful coastlines. There's so much here that, you know, I'm pretty content with wandering my backyard. And once you get mornings like this one with the pinnacles, mornings like that. So I was down there shooting and, you know, it was fairly clear. And then I had a big front come through. So this photo here is just as that front's coming in. So some of the sunsets and the sunrises and the cloud formations and the weather that I've seen come in from the coast. You have days where it's just magic, and it's those days that really pull you in and get you quite or get you very passionate about it, and being amongst it will get me very passionate anyway.
So Jarrad, it's rare I see somebody present images side by side. I'm really enjoying it. What was your sort of process around that?
To be honest, it was to get through quite a few.
Yeah.
A lot of them sort of do bounce off each other as well. But it was, mainly just to get through to them and not to have too much, you know, vacant space around the images, and to share as much as I could in the time that I've got. And I do feel images sort of bounce off each other nicely as well. So
I can. I feel like they really do here as well.
So the one on the right there, that's of the Stirling Ranges. Another example of just how the weather and the light dancing through a landscape. They give you memories, like you were saying earlier, Paul. You know, when I get older, you know, when I'm daydreaming and, you know, you sort of go elsewhere, I find myself, these are the things I'm coming back to, the moments that I have out in the landscape. So I'll be walking, I'll be at work, and then, so just at the start of September, I popped down to the Stirling Ranges, and I managed to get snow up on the top of Toolbrunup. And so I've got up there literally just after sunrise, and I was up there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was snowing majority of the day that I was up there. And we had moments where the clouds were passing over, and I was getting the sunlight through, and just the memories from that day. I'm still, you know, on a high from that. So it creeps in. It starts creeping into you every day. The things that you're thinking about, the memories that you have, the way you've seen the light fall, or the way you've seen the snow fall, and just the happiness that it gives you just with the memories in itself. I'm sure as you collect them when you get older.
Just these two, Jab, before you go ahead, in terms of if you get that Stirling one back up.
So it's jumping back and forward.
Previews.
It's supposed to be just skipping through, but let's go the other way. I'm going to have to.
So I don't want to interrupt your flow, man. You just flow whatever works for you.
Yeah, sorry.
I just had a comment with the two side by side that struck me a little bit. The beautiful kind of graduated curvature you had through the Stirling Ranges was quite beautifully mirrored by the curves and the strata in the bottom half of the sand dune photograph on the left in particular. It was really stunning. So you're using a Windows viewer, Jarrad?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, we had this once with Scott Matelli where after a while it would make a big grey block in the middle of the screen once it's up for a while, and he just restarted it and it seemed to work fine.
Okay, yeah, I had it running just before, and now it's playing silly buggers.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't have thought of it until we had that once with Scott, and it was sort of it went all right, but it just occasionally popped up with a sort of grey screen in the middle like it did on that last one.
All right. So I'll share the screen again. Sorry about this, mate. It's a
Good man.
bit amateur, but we'll get there.
But we're an amateur show, mate. There's no one sponsoring this show, mate. I wish there was. Just a few fellas that enjoy photography, basically.
So what I'll do is I'll just go back from the start, and we'll get back to that Sterling one, rather than messing things up.
So I've just got to watch. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow, that looks like Tassie on the left there.
So this one, the one on the left, that's Castle of the Wind in Wales.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so that's another time I've literally rushed from, I was in England, staying in Bristol, and over there with the kids and that. So I was literally sneaking off every opportunity I could to pick off spots and see as much as I could. So I was rushing down south, before sunrise and getting back, rushing over to the south coast of Wales and making the most of my time there. And that's because I had the camera. So a lot of the things that I saw were purely for the fact that I've had the camera in my hand. And some of the memories I have with some of the places in Wales and in England, especially like this day here, was unreal. So I've rushed the day before, headed off early, and then made my way up to Snowdon for the next morning, just to see this area, and hiked up. It was just before sunrise as well, to get up to get the weather, because it'd been clear just before this, and it was clear for the days after. I literally just had one day where the cold front was coming through, and I was hoping.
Probably the other way around in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I thought, but not while I was there. So I had one day, so I made sure I was there for that. And yeah, the day that I had there, this cloud, I ended up getting whited out while I was up there. You literally couldn't see 2 feet in front of you with the cloud that came through. Oh. But then every now and then the cloud would break, and you just get this amazing view out over the national park of just everything, just bathing in this low-lying cloud, with all Snowdon and the mountain peaks just all popping up above this sea of cloud, which is just absolutely amazing. And so the one on the right, that is Lancelin, and obviously another front, as you can see, has come through. The winds were absolutely crazy. So
it looks a bit wild.
The patterns that you can see in the sand there all carved from those high winds. Next one. And obviously the coast. I'm a bit of a sucker for a stormy day rather than a nice sunset for some reason.
Getting a sense for that.
Yeah.
A lot more mood and drama, obviously.
Yeah, well, the Sterlings offers that drama. You get Sterlings at the right time, and it's
I was heading down there with Scotty McCook last January, and we saw this huge cloud forming over the Sterlings. We're like, it's going to be awesome. We started gutting it down for there, and then we got most of the way there and realised that's a pretty unusual looking cloud. And we realised it was totally on fire, and it was like a fireball cloud. And we rang up Jordan Cantello, and he said, "Don't you guys go anywhere near it."
Yeah, I remember that.
He was leading the fire charge and scouting it. So I actually missed my opportunity to see the Sterlings. I went in and around it twice, but I never got in there.
You have to get there at some stage. Yeah, I remember the the
Yes.
lightning called those fires. I think they burnt for about 3 days. But
Yeah.
that's all. I've had one trip since then, where everything was still bare. But just at the start of September, when I was down at Toolburn for that trip, everything looked like it was bouncing back pretty good, pretty quick. So
Okay.
good
Is
to
this
see.
Wales again on the right? Where's that? This is huge.
Yeah, so the one on the right is Nash Point in the south coast of Wales. So it's funny over there. So this is about 1 hour, maybe an hour or so away from Bristol. So you've got so much so close over there. An hour drive for us is nothing. I was talking to people over there, mentioned I was going here and there, and I'm busting over to Nash Point, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. But so I'm just going down the road, and they're like, "Yeah, but that's like an hour and a half." It's like, well, it's actually for us, it's actually not that far. So same thing. Nash Point, that was an awesome area. I was working with the tides. I'd had a couple of mornings and a couple of sunsets there as well.
Yeah, big tides over there. Yeah,
crazy tides. Literally, it's not this shot. There was another shot where I was getting the slow shutter with getting some nice water flow coming in. It was near on impossible because literally with each shot, each wave, the amount that the tide was coming in, it was 4 splashes and you're up around your waist. It was I've never seen anything like it.
Jeez.
So fast and such a dramatic difference in the height. And obviously but the one on the left is south coast, just near Sugarloaf Rock.
Yeah, it's you've isolated a feature that I haven't sort of recognised before in that area. So it's for someone that's been photographed so much. It's nice different light. It's almost like don't forget to look behind you type thing,
Yeah, exactly. I've had a few of those from down there. You're busy focusing on the light moving over Sugarloaf or what the waves are doing, and then you turn around and you're blown away. Awesome coastline. So that photo on the left there, that is from that trip down to Toolburn. Unfortunately, I haven't processed too many others from the day because I've been a bit time poor, but I'm itching to get at them.
That's snow on the snow there.
Yeah, so that's snow. So this is actually after everything had started to melt off a bit. It was just that the cloud, I was only able to shoot here and there when the clouds parted and I got some light and could actually see. But yeah, it was amazing. All up the top was we had snow settling all up the top, and just sort of back almost behind where I'm looking from here was just covered in snow. The snow was actually coming up the mountain. It wasn't falling at times, it was coming up the mountain. But it was just a crazy day that I'll never forget. It's hard to explain. The photos, I'm happy with. You bring photos back that you're happy with and you feel, speaks of the day or the time or what you saw, but it's all the stuff in between that that really grows on you, or really grows on me. Just the memories of looking up and seeing that snow falling and catching the flakes and seeing that landscape bathed in a way that I've never seen it before. And, I don't know if I'll sit like that again. Hopefully I will, but.
How often does it snow up there?
Well, this year we've had quite a few, I think there was 4 times this year, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Well, it was 3. There was 2 in September. 2 or 3 in September. I think it was 2, and then there was August, and there was a couple earlier in the year as well. So this year, yeah, all the rain, it's been very cold this year, but all the rain seems to be coming through now. We got all the cold weather, then the rain started falling. So
Yeah, what medium is that? Is it kind of sand, dirt, mixture?
Yeah, so the one next to that, that's another day where I've had high winds through, I think that was Lancelin as well. So that's literally where the winds have pulled away all that top level of sand and just exposed all these little ridges and textures that were just littered across the dune systems there. It was just, yeah, unreal. I hadn't seen it like that before. The patterns. If I could show you some of the other pictures showing that some of the patterns that were created. Yeah.
Oh wow, looks like somebody's taking a giant bite out of an apple or something.
Yeah, yeah. So that's after some strong winds and rain. Rain's not the best for the dune systems, obviously, because you don't get those nice crests and the structure and the shape.
What does it tend to do? Is it flatten it somehow? Or?
Yeah, it compacts it down and it rolls all the definition out of the dune structures. It can get quite messy, but every now and then you get some awesome patterns and features that are just, yeah, unreal. This was more so the light and the mood of the day, and this one just caught my eye. But I've got a lot of intimate shots of the textures that are taken from going up there after the rains and just seeing what the flow of water has done to the sand dune landscape. It sometimes it literally looks like it's been made by human hands, like an artist has come in and sculpted it. It's unbelievable.
Where are we on the right there, Jarrad?
So the one on the right is New Zealand. That was taken on the first day that I was there. First day in Mount Mount Cook, sorry.
No, Araki's better.
Yeah, so I was fairly clouded out the first day, so I just was wandering around, taking in the area and just taking abstract shots, a lot of abstract shots from the snow, and just actually while I was in this sort of section that, yeah, just collapsed and gave way and managed to catch a nice moment. A nice little abstract with a bit of
I see
bit of a story to it. Yeah, just can you see is my pointer coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just literally just as I've turned to it, it fell.
Could you hear it?
No. So I wasn't even in the car park at that stage. I think where you have that branch off, I think that was shot with a 500 mm. Where that road branches off left to the glacier, or you can go, right to the glacier or left into the car park to do the walkthrough. Yeah, I was sort of shooting at that turn off.
So you had what lens was it that you were using that had 500?
I think it was a 5, yeah, all the way at 500. So this is
as in you've got a fixed 500 mm lens, or it's a zoom lens with 500 on the end?
No, it was a Sigma zoom.
150 to 500, is it?
I think it's 150 to 500.
Yeah, I've been eyeing that up for a little while. It's quite affordable for its focal length, isn't it?
Well, it was, yeah. So that was going back a while. I was on the D7100 to start with. I've obviously got to justify things, what I'm spending. So obviously, as you're learning, I wasn't going to jump into the deep end. So I was happy to just start with a nice Nikon D7100. And I did a lot of stitching. So a lot of the stuff I was shooting, I'd take, whether it be 4 or 10 or 3 shots and stitch them together just to pull a bit more quality out of the camera I was using. And the reason I had the 500 was when I'm out in the landscape, I've always loved wildlife as well. So I'm not a bird watcher, but while I'm out in the landscape, I'll keep my eyes out, and I know you can sense the timing when the animals are, feeding or they're active. So if they tend to work out time wise, I'll make sure I take my gear in case, I'm lucky enough to get some decent wildlife shots, which I'll go through. I've got a few in here, which I'll show a little bit later. But yeah, I've been lucky to, spend time with, ospreys and, black-shouldered kites and a lot of different types of birds. I've seen black-shouldered kites, rear their young, and then seen the young go out off on their own. And
I've been out there with Scotty. What's the name of it? Lake Bella something or other.
yeah, so that's Lake Ballard.
Ballard,
Yep.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes some gumboots.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
I remember going in to buy some gumboots in Kalgoorlie just to go out here with Scotty McCook. And and Luke Costin as well, actually. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a striking area out there. I haven't shot it from the air. I'm kind of curious about shooting that from the air, but
yeah, we were there. I was there with Matt Fields, we were there for an aerial shoot over Lake Lefroy. We were half tempted to get up that end of town and do some air, because some of the stuff up there is just unbelievable from the air.
yeah.
I can only imagine what you.
Yeah, I've been up there a few times. I've always gone south, a little bit east, but this is northwest, isn't it, from memory?
Yeah. So and that was. I've got another picture here. So that was just before a big storm came through. The one on the.
We got the sky there. Looks like balloons or something.
Yeah, just balloons floating past. This is down at Burnham by the Sea, I think it's called.
Huh.
South of Bristol in England.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, so it's big tidal flat.
Yeah, really, really, really fast moving tide through there as well. So the one on the left is Porthcawl in Wales.
Oh, it's great having that figure there as well, with that little bit of movement.
Yeah, I think he made that shot for me, actually. Just tied it all together and
A tiny bit of colour in the.
I think that was probably the.
Yes.
I think I got 2 from all the trips I took there. I ended up walking away with 2. I'd seen instances where the swell would bounce off that wall there and create some awesome waves and pretty dramatic scenes against the lighthouse there. Unfortunately, I didn't get the conditions I wanted, but I've got a couple of good shots. So I was happy. It was nice to see the area. Obviously, as I've discussed, I'm a bit of a cloud watcher, so I've got far too many photos of clouds.
Yeah, me too. Me too, mate. I hardly show them to anyone.
Yeah,
But I enjoy taking them.
that's it. So the one on the left is from the trip last year I took with Andrew Marr and Matt Fields, good mate Matt Fields. We're up there for aerials over Roebuck Bay and Cape Leveque. So we got up early and had a few days to explore.
Is Cape Leveque right at the top of Dampier?
Yeah, so it goes. So we basically, it's just above Broome and then pulls back down into Derby. It's just that little headland there. Little.
Well, it's not that little. It's reasonable size.
Well, yeah, it's not that little. So yeah, we left from Broome after we'd done the Roebuck flight. We left the next day. We had a Pender Bay flight, and I've tied Pender Bay in with Derby and a few other spots along the way. But
you did a big loop from Pender across the Derby and around. That's quite a big loop.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we took a Cessna for that one. We had a few headaches with that, but we ended up getting a Cessna that would work. And it's
That
literally
would work.
Oh, mate.
It's helpful when they work, isn't it?
Well, we ended up getting there. We had the timing set for the tides as well. So we had a window locked in. Anyway, long story short, we've got there to take off and meet the pilot and get everything sorted. The plane and I'd gone over everything as much as I could, tried to cover my bases, and somehow miscommunication or whatever you want to call it. But we ended up getting to the airport, and the plane that they had, you couldn't even open the windows. They're all fixed windows. After discussing that we'd have a window each that we would be able to open and shoot from. So anyway, these things happen. We got around it. We left a bit later than what we.
Yeah, unfortunately they do. I've been there many times.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jimmy, we're good, mate. No worries. You're open, no worries. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd gone into the meeting in the office, and yeah, I'll spare you the details, but it was a bit of a headache. The flight almost didn't go ahead.
Who was it with? I flew with Leopard Air, I think, in a 206. Leopold Air, sorry.
Yeah, I was looking at them.
And I flew with KAS in the chopper.
Yeah, you got to go CAS with the choppers there, man. Hillary from CAS is an absolute gun.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's those things happen.
The tides for Pender and Derby are a bit different, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, but
I remember looking at that to try. I thought about trying to tie it with one flight, and I decided not to. But I ended up driving to Derby and just doing a chopper flight for 1 hour, instead of doing a big loop flight in a Cessna.
Okay. Yeah, I think when we did it, we caught low tide at Pender, and then by the time we went up and around the areas we wanted and got into Derby, we had it worked out tide wise for Derby for us too.
So that's a 3-hour flight or something?
Yeah, well, the whole flight together was 4.5 hours, I think.
Ooh, big flight.
Yeah.
That's pushing the fuel range.
Yeah, we were on we literally had to get back.
You'd be coming down on fumes. I know.
Yes.
I've done it many times myself.
Yeah.
4.5 is like their maximum, absolute maximum.
Numb bums at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that shot on the right there is from that storm that ended up coming through from over Lake Ballard and then following down to Kalgoorlie. That day's a story in itself. We end up crazy winds, crazy storm. The lightning was just one of the most intense systems I'd ever been in. And then we were rushing around trying to find some basically back towards Lake Ballard. But ended up just working out that this was the spot that we could make it to and get some shots. And just as we got there and got set up, the clouds parted just enough to start letting that light through. And we just created this magic end of the day where we had, beautiful semi-sunset shining the light over everything, and these big dark clouds rolling towards us towards Lake Ballard. That the rain and lightning that came with that system was something else. So this is just a foggy morning down near Augusta, on the south coast of WA. A lot of the times I'll just pack my things up in the car and head off down south. And
in terms of packing in the car, what are you packing in here? Are you you're using Nikon by the sounds of it? You've got a few favorite lenses or focal lengths, or?
Yeah, so I've got my Nikon D810. I've had that for a few years now, quite a few years. Using that with the Sigma Art 24-105.
I can use that one. I've used the Art 35 and 85, but not any of the zooms.
Yeah, okay. That's a pretty good all-rounder, really. Let's get that off. I find with my aerials, it gives me a good reach. It gives me a bit of movement. Obviously, with the Cessnas, you're paying good money. If I had a bigger wallet, so I'd choose a better prime and take the time. But as a happy justification with price and what I'm going to get from the day, that lens is Yeah, it covers the bases pretty well for me.
Funny enough, mate, I've come full circle, Jarrad. I've shot with 35-85 fixed wheel prime combos for ages with two bodies, and just to get that up the optical quality and get the low light performance because they're 1.4 lenses. And I've actually gone back to shooting 24-105 zoom.
Oh, you have you?
Because the flexibility compositionally is fantastic, and with the resolution of the camera that I'm using, it's already pretty good.
Well, that's the thing.
It's not quite as crisp as the zooms. I mean, as the primes, but
the Sigma
I get a
R,
bigger hit rate because I can compose in the air rather than having to crop later and dive into photos, and you lose shots moving from one camera to the other, or it's too wide or too far in. And
exactly, or you've just come around that little bit too much and the light's gone, or you got to be quick up there, don't you?
Plus, I think I got 8 stops IS with this 24-105 in my R5, which is nothing to sneeze at from the air in terms of what you got to work with the vibration and shutter speeds. So
yeah, and I mean, if you start shooting right and you want to stitch your images and cover bases there's that option. But the Sigma Art lenses is a great range. That 24-105 is pretty damn sharp the whole way through.
Oh, the whole way through. Okay, yeah, they're good fat bang for the buck.
Yeah, they are.
Art range. I highly recommend it myself as well.
So then, I've got that. That's my workhorse, and a Tamron 14-30, 2.8, I think it is, and 50 mil. And then I don't have the D7100 or the long lenses in it anymore. I've got rid of that and just focused on keeping the kit.
Have you missed having that longer focal range?
Say again, sorry.
Have you missed having that longer focal range?
Yeah, I have actually.
Because I've never had that, and I'm considering doing it. And I'm wondering if it's kind of like this phase you go through, or whether it's something that's just always good to have,
No, it's. I was a bit silly getting rid of them, to be honest. One for the wildlife stuff, but when I'm out, so when you got the weather moving through and the lights moving and things are happening, I'll find I'll just react to what's going on. So as soon as I have to start thinking about how I'm going to get what I'm seeing, a lot of the time I know. So when I had those lenses there, I'd go into a place and I'd know what lens I should have on, and just losing that flexibility of being able to quickly capture something in the way they wanted, having to try and work around with, not being able to get in far enough or stitching things together to try and get the scene. I miss being able to just use that lens naturally, I suppose. Just having it there, having it in my head and knowing what to reach for. So there's that Sterling Rangers images we got onto before. So this is another example of just those awesome features that you get through the sand dune systems, and the way that the light bounces off them can just create paintings sometimes. See this one here.
What if we come back full circle, Jarrad?
Yeah. There's just a couple that didn't go through before.
We skipped through. That's right. Yeah, we didn't get to sit with these ones.
So this is another morning that I go back to. Oh, sorry, that was the afternoon before. So the next morning I was down Bombay Quarry. I was over there for the Focus Awards. So I tied in a bit of traveling around and getting to spots that I wanted to with that. And so that's the morning I keep coming back to. The next morning I literally had, splendid wrens and the bird life, popping around on these rocks down here. And the sunrise that I had down there, it was just, it's hard to explain, but awesome day. Obviously you got down south, metro shot there from just down the road.
Beautiful. Oh,
So this one's of sand dune system near Geraldton.
I
So
assume you've kind of warmed it up a bit, or
that's warmed up. It was pretty warm. I've bumped things up, obviously.
God, so painterly, right?
But it was, you'd be surprised. It's not like I've gone crazy on it.
Yeah, no, I believe you. Well, it
Um,
doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, but it just really stands out because of it. Like it really.
yeah, I was lucky. I just had
Gives
this,
it an emotive quality that wouldn't be there if it was, just stark dry white.
yeah. And see, I'm one to try and I've got my creative images, which sort of they're in their own sort of area. A lot of this landscape stuff that I do, I try and keep it as natural as I can, but I'm always sway to the side of pushing it a little bit if I have to speak of what I was feeling on the day, what the day sort of, what I was feeling while I was there.
I notice you seem quite sort of fluid with your cropping. Like you don't necessarily stick to a certain ratio or.
No, it depends on the scene. Depends on what. Yeah, it's kind of hard. I find I'll just innately get drawn to something. I think it comes from drawing and just constructing things like composition wise. As soon as I get to an area, I'll start wandering around and having a feel for the area, but things will just click. And so if that means it's square, it'll be square. If it's the scene will just click to me and I'll know what the crop will just accommodate what I'm clicking to when I see it. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, it does. I mean, I restrict myself a little bit to more conventional sort of ratios just because of from a printing point of view. I always think, oh, it's going to be a bit awkward trying to print that shape or that shape.
Yeah, well, I'll stick to my, my 16x9s or my 8x10s or my 4x5s, or they're all ready for print. So for framing and stuff like that, I keep my sizes uniform in that sort of way.
Is that a multiple exposure? Or?
Yeah, so this is obviously ICM and then still shot sort of overlaid and
both. Yeah, great.
Yeah, just to play on the details that I was getting. Felt I had the shot with the ICM and it just wasn't clicking. It was a bit too simple and I was sort of missing those details. I think everybody's sick of that shot.
Oh no, it's not an easy shot to get. It takes. Yeah, I guess there's a certain time of year you got to be there as well.
Yeah, well, I was just lucky because I was there. I was shooting Hutt Lagoon and moving further up to Shark Bay. So it just happened to work. It was November or December, early December. I was just lucky, to be honest. Just the timing of that sun coming through. Sometimes things reward you when you're not even expecting it.
Was that Aoraki or before, or just a part of that?
Yeah.
Else? Beautiful tones through there. Like
yeah. So that was. I'd just come into the park. I pulled up, so the clouds are sort of parting here and there, enough for me to see the peak as I was sort of coming in. But I knew that there was some weather coming in. I might not get to see it for the next 3 days while I was there. So it was a bit of a mad rush. And literally just as I've sort of got into one of the the pull-off bays on that main road in. This window opened up. I've jumped out, so that's probably like a 10 image stitch, maybe more.
Oh my goodness, really?
But I've literally pulled the car over and jumped out to get the shot, as I could see the
handheld.
Handheld, but using my car as a tripod, leaning on the car.
God, how does it go with moving clouds doing stitches like that?
Well, the clouds were coming through from the left-hand side there, obviously. So I made sure I started from the left-hand side and just followed through. And there was a couple of attempts before that where I was getting things right and locking the camera in, so that I knew when it was time to fire off those shots, it was all going to work and be sharp and line up, give everything a lot of crossover, so that it was going to not give me any issues with stitching. But yeah, it was literally, I fired them off, I was comfortable with what I'd got, and then this cloud cover came through, and that was it. I didn't really see the mountain peak for the next 3 days while I was there. So,
yeah, that sounds about right. I love the cropping of this too. It works beautifully.
Yeah, it just gave me a nice view of the mountain to remember. Obviously, the sunlight, it's hard to describe, but the dune systems north of Perth that we get, you get some of the mornings with the sunrises, it just blows you away. The features and the shadows and the way the light plays with the formations,
You've still got
remarkable.
It depends on when the systems will come through, I guess, about how far you're going to walk to get it outside of all the footprints.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of a method to it. I'll sort of walk in slowly and keep my eyes open and sort of make my way through to points of interest from a certain direction, so that I know that I'm not spoiling the shot before I get there.
Well, I also mean, like, times I've been there's been like tens of thousands of other people's footprints everywhere as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. But luckily, there's 2 systems up there that I know of that hardly get touched. You don't get the cars driving in there. You don't really get people going in there too much. Occasionally, every now and then, I've seen footprints from, a couple of people that have been through. But yeah, that patch is pretty good for that. That's why I love it there. I spent a lot of time in that dune system there, just south of Cervantes. So this one's the Stirling Ranges. Obviously, again, another magic day, end to the day. And that is the landscapes. I'll bring up.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we had time for aerials. It's about 9:10 over here, so.
Yeah, okay. I'll just bring up these aerials. If we get to the other ones, we do. If we don't, we don't.
Oh no, let's get to them, mate. I'm not going to let you off the hook. I want to see. Evening, Anthony. Good to have you back, mate.
Let's get this going. It's going to work for me. Scratch.
Oh, I forgot to mention Nick's. Nick's got a special forensic photography presentation tonight. That's why he's not here. He didn't realise that the dates were going to double over. So just pass on some apologies for the Tassie Maestro, Mr. Nick Monk. Oof, looks very Lefroy-like on the left there.
Lefroy, it is. So that was another day where things haven't gone to plan. That morning we woke up and Kalgoorlie, the whole of Kalgoorlie was, so that storm that I was just showing you before, that was the day before this aerial flight me and Matt had locked in. And that storm kicked up so much, the water was flowing through the area. And anyway, that we woke up the next morning, it was all fogged out. The whole of Kalgoorlie, you could barely see in front of you.
Wow.
So that cancelled. We ended up getting their flight cancelled 3 times.
Yeah, we got caught with a storm that stopped the planes actually being able to get back to Kalgoorlie for us to fly at all.
Yeah, right.
So we had to wait another day, and then they could only get one plane back instead of 2, and then it was flipping a coin who gets to actually fly.
Who gets the seats? Yeah, we had a little bit of trouble with the planes as well, getting something that was going to accommodate us both. But we made it work. I think we.
Yeah, I've only ever gotten a window and a 172, which is pretty squishy for 2 people.
Yeah, it was. I think that's what we ended up taking, the 172.
Not ideal, but you can do something with it.
Yeah, we still managed. Still got some awesome shots. Poor Maddie, he's ended up having 3 lots of Essek tablets, because we got obviously moved back.
Oh, he took them every day.
Yeah. Well, it was the same day, but it all looked good for, like, say, I can't remember what the times were, but it looked good for 10. We got the go ahead for come back 10. So he took the tablets, and then we go back there, and then we debate it in the office, and then they'd pull the plug for another couple of hours, and so that happened 3 times. So.
Oh, the same day or separately?
Yeah, all on the same day.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so but we got there.
It looks a bit Lake Eyre, but I don't know if you've been to Lake Eyre, some of those features, those salt features, but
yeah, and I haven't.
the pink ones.
Definitely want to. So that, yeah, the pink and purple one, that's Yarra Lakes.
Yeah, I haven't made it there yet.
That's an awesome spot.
On the left.
There's a big stretch of salt lakes that stretch. I think I was just explaining before, right up.
They just keep going and going and going.
It's unbelievable. So the change in color and textures from lake to lake, and yeah, it's a playground.
Do you reckon you want to aim for a certain time of year where they've sort of dried up and got more color, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, it depends what you're after, really. Yeah, you can go a bit earlier and get the pinks and the greens and the yellows, and some of the colors that fill those lakes are sensational. But again, I get more drawn towards the textures, I think. So when I've been there, it's been later in the season, when the water's...
Meaning, what do you mean by season? As in summer, or?
Yeah, in summer. Sorry. After, the August, September rains have made their way through and settled down, and things have dried out a bit. You're just starting to head into summer. You get those really awesome formations and colors that bleed through, sort of like this one here on the left. That's Lake Lefroy. But yeah, the water movement leaves amazing patterns and textures and pulls the color through. So I tend to go for that side of things with the salt lakes more.
So you wait till they dry out a bit more?
Yeah, I'll wait till they dry out a bit more. So again, the one on the left is Yarra Lakes, and the one on the right is a titanium mine in Cooljaloo. It's not that big, but there's some of the features in there are amazing too. I think I've got a couple other shots in here. The textures that you get in the ponds and the land there, mixed with the greens and the blues, are unreal. It's a hidden little treasure trove there. It's always changing, so it's kind of hard to know what you're going to get once you get above it, but it's always pretty good for patterns. It's just a bit hard to shoot because it's so small. More salt lakes, and that was just on the border. The one on the left is just on the edge, some of those touting ponds just as you head into Lake Lefroy.
Yeah, I'm trying to edit that same shot, actually. It's tricky to get an angle on that works.
It is, yeah.
I ran it in circles, and you've got 10 shots that are all kind of off kilter and not quite lined up, and
just not quite right.
It's a tricky one, especially when you're in the back seat of a 172.
Yeah, well, especially when they start,
and you can't move the camera around much. It's like, oh,
yeah, and when they start, pulling some of those turns to get you above it, and so you get a nice view down. That can sort of. I think that was probably the only shot we'd made. About 2 or 3 passes over this, a couple on the way in, and then as we were leaving, we crossed over it again to try and get it because I didn't feel that I quite got it right. And even with all those attempts, that's probably the one shot that I got.
Yeah,
I was happy enough.
I don't think I've even got the one shot that I wanted. But we've been flying. I was flying with Carolyn Cheng, and she sort of hired me to take all around Australia, and so she kind of got first dibs as to I got the back seat.
Yeah, right.
No matter what, so I couldn't complain too much. But I got what I got.
Yeah, you always. It's hard. You always do walk away having to sort of talk yourself around because it's, you got to work hard while you're up there to get what you want. You got to be quick. You got to be onto it. And you're always going to see things that are going to niggle at you because you didn't get them or you didn't get them right or you didn't have the time.
How do you go with the pilot side of things? Because
I've had
a big factor.
Yeah, most of the pilots I've had have been really good. I've had one, which was the first flight over that I did over Yarra Yarra Lakes.
Where do you fly from to go out over there?
Both times I flew out from Jandakot. You could go from Geraldton.
Oh, all the way from Jandakot. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you could go from Geraldton, which shaves a bit of time off it. But there's a lot of features on the way that I like to pick up. Like you got the coastlines and the sand dunes and the pinnacles and farmlands, and other little salt lakes as well scattered around. So there's plenty to shoot on the way. So I've always, both times I've done it twice. Actually, I did it once with Tim Raitt. That was the second time we left from Jandakot as well. I had a better flight with Tim. Say again, sorry?
I flew from Jandakot in July, but I went south rather than north.
Yeah, okay. The flight I had with Tim was a lot better. The pilot was a lot better, and things just worked a lot easier. The first time, that's why you're always better to go with a company that doesn't contract in their pilots. This is only my opinion. All the other times, all my flights have been good, except for so I've had 2 bad flights, sorry. And they've both been from the times where a pilot has been contracted in just specifically for that flight. It's not when they're not there all the time, things don't get relayed, and you're not quite on the same page. You sort of, sometimes they're just there to, whether they know or not, they think.
What was that? Where was that shot on the right hand side before? I was trying to recognize it. Page back.
So that one's Lefroy as well.
Oh, right. I haven't seen it looking like that. Beautiful. Is that water or?
It's the red of the soil, but the water. So there was a lot of areas flooded because that storm had dropped so much rain. I've given it a punch, obviously. But it was really, really red because it was the whole surface was like a mirror, good majority of it, because there was that much water just sort of sitting on the surface. It was just reflecting the clouds and the sky, and then you get to certain angles and it just get those reds really punchy. And
on the right, is that also Lefroy on the right, or is it somewhere?
No, so that one's Derby, up Derby.
It surprised me the kind of variety you can get out there. Like if you keep flying a bit further afield.
I was really surprised with Derby, to be honest. I got some pastel aerials. Was something I wasn't expecting to bring back from Derby. But I got some real nice variety from there. I just haven't had a chance to. I've only actually done a couple from there. I've edited a good chunk from Roebuck.
How many shots did you come back for that 4.5 hour flight?
Oh, geez, mate. Thousands. But that's half the joy, isn't it? getting to sift through things. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many thousands of images I haven't even been through yet myself, mate.
you find with time, a lot of them, you think you got a bunch of good ones, and then that list of keepers actually dwindles quite fast. You might have thousands, but I'd say when I'm shooting aerials, I'm probably a bit, well, not trigger happy, but I like to cover my bases. So I'll shoot, say I'm seeing something, I'll shoot quite a few as the plane's coming around. I'll shoot into what I'm wanting, and then make sure I've got that shutter pressed at the time where I'm in the right position, but then I'll continue to shoot a little bit afterwards as well, because sometimes I find I think I know the right angle, and I'll get that, but then just as you come around a little bit, you'll get the light reflecting off textures in a different way, or it'll catch the surface of the water and give you, reflection that just makes the whole photograph.
Yeah, for people that didn't know, when you're flying in fixed wings, and you're trying to do top-down aerials in particular, you're flying in circles a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, you spend a good money while you're up there as well. So there's nothing worse than getting back and thinking, oh, if I only had it just as I come around a little bit more, if I had just had it from that angle. So it's more of a thing to keep myself happy once I get home, and not get annoyed because I haven't captured 2 frames afterwards,
Such distinctive colours for Roebuck, isn't it? Like it's quite recognisable. But what I love about some of your work is there's some tones and some angles and some dappled light that I've never seen it captured like some of the material you've got.
Yeah, we definitely got some beautiful light while we're there. Beautiful dappled light.
How low a tide was it? Like a spring low, or just like a reasonable low? Like,
no, it was really low. It was 0.4, I think.
Oh wow, that's lower than I got it. That's super low.
It's super low, yeah. And then the day before was super high. I think it was the highest tide they'd had in, I think Hillary was saying, like 10 years or something.
Oh wow. Yeah, right. Must be. Oh, so a huge rush of water between one and the other.
Yeah. Massive, yeah, massive. And even the next day, the water had been pushed that far inland. Hillary was saying it was like, wet season. So we're very lucky with conditions and the cloud cover.
Yeah, I never seen it. The dappled light shots that you got, I've never seen that.
So that is Kwinana, the punchy reds of Kwinana. A lot of people would know, pretty distinctive. And Penda, sorry, not Penda, Roebuck again on the right. That is Alcoa again in Kwinana on the left. And some coastline from near Cervantes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like sort of northwest coastline.
Yeah.
Those reef structures.
Pockets. So that is Penda Bay on the left, and that is Roebuck Bay just inland a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a bit unique, that one.
Say again, sorry?
I wanted to pick that. It's a bit of an unusual kind of combination of texture and colour.
Yeah, it was just one little section. Just one little section where that water was pushing through.
I flew inland quite a bit, or inlandish around Roebuck, and I was surprised what I found, actually.
Yeah, I'd actually dedicate a bit more time to covering a bit more over that side next time. We just did it on, passed over on the way out to Sandy Point, I think it is. Didn't spend too much time. We just wanted to get over there for the tide, the timing of the tide. But yeah, I was actually surprised what was there. Definitely more to be had if we had the time.
God, it looks like a molten explosion on the right hand side. It's like liquid gold or metal just oozing around. Beautiful.
Yeah, so that was another tailing pond just on the way into Lake Lefroy as well. So I think that was one of the banks that I was talking about. This was on the second or third pass of this one as well. We wanted to get a little bit more, vertical, straight down, So the pilot took that very literally, and mate, some of the banks that he did for us on that day was, yeah.
I did that with Leah Kennedy, and we had an overzealous pilot, and go within 5 minutes, she lost her breakfast, and she was not having a good time.
Yeah,
But to be fair, that guy was, yeah, he just was a bit crazy, I think.
chucking it around.
It looks like I love how that on the right just looks like ice, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised with the variance that we got in the colors of the sand in quite a tight area of that one sort of section of Sandy Point.
I have to try and get it at a super low tide like that as well.
We had reds to yellows to the beautiful, greys and blacks and
yeah, certainly it was a bit more consistent in mine. It was that kind of turquoisey and a bit of teal with the sort of off steely greys of the sand. That was most of what we got. I don't remember seeing reds or even these icy blues like this.
Yeah, so that's the one on the left. That's Roebuck as well. So it was not very far from
greeny teal.
That one before the blue.
Look at the right here. Is that like Kwinana with some water or somewhere else?
What was that? That is Kwinana. Yeah. So there's just I'm not sure.
It's quite a bit. I flew over it in July. It was quite a lot of water, and I found it a bit harder. I guess my expectation was to get the dried out kind of textural elements, and I was a bit thrown by the water because it dulled out a lot of the features. Actually, washed out a lot of the colours, and I struggled to kind of adapt to, like what you've done here is actually accentuating what's there by using the mirroring and the reflection to your advantage.
Yeah, I did. I had the same trouble you did, though. It can be quite hard to shoot there. There's a lot going on.
It's difficult to compose. It's like,
yeah.
Just look at it and just go, wow. Where do I start?
Yeah, well, you do. Your eyes light up at just the colors and the textures, but trying to transfer that into a.
Yeah, I think if you want a great exercise in challenging yourself compositionally, have a fly with this place. And literally, it's less than 5 minutes to get there from Jandakot. So as far as aerial flights go, it's one of the most cost-effective ones you can do.
Yeah, bang for buck.
But it's challenging, really challenging compositionally.
And
you made the most. You made the most of Roebuck. Just all one flight, or you've flown at Roebuck multiple times, or
no, just the one flight.
Oh my God, you hit jackpot, man! Because you get from that flight far out.
Well, that was the thing. I had my plan all laid out. Well, we had our plan laid out, the flight path, and had in my head what I wanted to get. But literally, as soon as we got up above that area, I was mind blown. I'd forgot all my plans. I forgot the flight path.
Out the window.
Luckily, Hillary came to the day. We'd obviously run through everything with her, so she, knew where we were going and stuff. But yeah, I couldn't even direct for a little while there. I was just
tongues hit the floor.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Like that dappled line on the left there. It's oh my God.
So yeah.
Did the clouds come in? Were they there the whole time, or just they came through at a certain point, or?
No, they were there. Yeah, there the whole time.
Did you sort of? Should we because of the cloud, or you just didn't even think of it?
Didn't even think of it. Nah, because as soon as we got up, we could see how well it was working with the scene. We were all just like, we're very lucky to get these conditions.
Oh my God.
This is just gonna
frothing
magic. And it does it, you'll miss a few shots because of it.
Yeah.
But because of the dappled light, but yeah, when it works, it's something else.
Is that Yarra's or somewhere different?
Yeah, that was Yarra's again. Yarra Lake.
Oh, the amount of imagine counting the amount of salt lakes in WA.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Just in that one area.
And it's often they're in just like backwater, like farming areas and just the most random places.
Tucked away, yeah. Seen a
Yeah.
few farmers that have just these beautiful salt lakes in their backyard, you know.
Yeah.
And up that way as well, it's awesome to see how they all flow into each other. They've all, you can see a tiny bit of it there. You'll get a lot of veins running from lake to lake to lake, and just seeing how they're all intertwined, and then you start to get a sense of the way the waters move through the area, and it's just gives you a very good understanding of, or better understanding of how the world around you works, why things are there. And
keep chipping through. We've got to, we've hit 9:30, but I want to give you the space you need to see them all, because I don't want to miss any. Oh my god, look at that one on the left. It looks like it could be under a microscope or something. Like,
yeah, so we got
puzzles or something. It almost looks like it's glowing from underneath as well as reflecting from the top. Far out.
Yeah, it was the shallow water with the it was actually quite clear in that section, and that's more the red of the mud and stuff coming through. But yeah, that was with helicopter flight, so we were able to get really, really low and just,
I was going to say, it didn't look very high.
Yeah, take all the time that we needed to explore
Where
that
was that
area.
one?
So that's Kwinana as well.
Oh wait, it did get low. Far out.
Yeah, I think
I've never done a chopper over Kwinana. It's always been a fixed wing.
I think we were down to sort of 500 feet, a lot of places.
Yeah, right.
Penda on, sorry, not Penda, Roebuck on the left, and that's that cool titanium mine in Cooljaloo. Banana, and I'm sure if I think that's Roebuck as well. On the right. Lefroy and Cooljaloo as well. And so that's the other thing as well, getting to see with the aerials, getting to see the colors, and you know, they etch themselves into your mind, and it helps with the landscape photography as well. I find it helps me sort of see composition different, and how the colors play off each other, and there's a lot of ways that it stems through.
Be one of my favorites. This one on the right here, Jarrad. Far out.
On the right there.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah. So that's that Cooljaloo mine as well. So they have little tailing ponds there. So that's just obviously where whatever chemicals they're using have just worked their way through the soil there and dried up. So you've got all the little cracks creating the texture, and the stains are from the chemicals they use to do what they're doing in the processing. Yeah, Lefroy and tailing ponds from Lefroy, and that's Yarra Lakes as well. Willie Creek, the one on the left, I think was towards Pender Bay. It's a bit hard to see it with this size images, but the textures are just unreal. The tiger lines through here, and you can sort of get a sense of the texture here, but just the ripples in the sand and the patterns they created was unreal.
Oh wow. Geez, what a combination on the right there. Just open, soft fluid lines, and then gritty sort of structures, and then colors. Oh, far out.
Yeah, Derby surprised me big time. be honest.
Was that a really low tide as well, or?
Yeah. So just as we did Pender, got the low tide at Pender, and then by the time we got to Derby, it was just on the other side of low tide. So the tide was just coming in. So it was
Well done.
still pretty low while we were there. So
the time of year we were there, it just wasn't super low. So
yeah, okay.
I think it opens up a lot of different material.
Yeah, it did.
Sharkbone Hut Lagoon.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Unmistakable.
Geez, they work together well, don't they?
This one's actually Rottnest, Salt Lake over at Rottnest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a couple of little areas there that
middle there, isn't there? Like, did you get kind of low for that, or?
Yeah, well, pretty. So that was on the same flight as the Kwinana one. So we did Kwinana first, went up the coast a little bit, and then over to Rottnest, did the Salt Lakes and around the coastline there. I was getting some shots just of the reef lines there, just the water interacting with the reef and the colours.
Yeah, I've done the same loop, but I don't know if I got as much material as I was happy as I wanted, to be honest. But
no, I didn't get a whole bunch from Rottnest, to be honest. I got this, maybe a couple of little Salt Lake ones, and then just a couple of the reef ones. It was pretty hard. I hate to remember how many photos I took, but yeah, maybe end up with four keepers.
I didn't get keepers as I thought of it. I'd like to either, but it was worth a go. That's a beautiful flight.
Okay, so
you say you had a video to play out, Jarrad? Was that relative to this or something else? Or
I tried to get that video downloaded of the layered printing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to take me a little bit more time-wise. I've got to find the original. I was trying to get it off Instagram, but that wasn't working. So I wasn't able to get the video.
You get it to me, mate.
I'll shoot it through.
You want to just talk about that a little bit? Like, that was something that I'd seen Jarrad kind of post a bit about a while ago. Really intrigued me. Do you want to sort of to speak to that a bit?
Yeah, I'll just flick through these as well while I'm doing it. So with the signage, I've pretty lucky to have some machines there that you can do some special stuff with. So there was one printer that we've got there that does braille, and it's a UV printer. Anyway, it can print the ink that it puts down. You can build it up in layers, so you can print over yourself, have it print over itself, and obviously that raises the height of the print to a degree where if you did it enough, you can print brailled lettering. That's actually what it's for. But I came out with a method of played around with a method of breaking it down, a basic structure in Illustrator, laying that as a base, and then breaking the actual image down into segments according to depth in the image, and printing those broken down areas up separately or repeatedly to slowly build up their actual depth in the image. So it doesn't work for everything. To be honest, the vast majority of stuff it won't work for, but a lot of the Salt Lake aerial images absolutely work outstanding with it, because you get the clarity of the image of the Salt Lake, but you've actually can put it to the side and feel all that texture and the details in the Salt Lakes. So it makes for.
You got anything we can see that speaks to that, or?
Yeah, I've got a print here. Do you want me to pull out of these black and whites and?
You're not sure. I can't see anything at the moment. I've seen the screen sharing didn't come up. At least not on my end. Oh, so I didn't realise you're sharing the whole time. I would have said.
I thought I was sharing. I was just staring at the screen, mate. Sorry about that. I'll
Well,
share that now.
it took me a while to realise, but Jarrad has three, at least three Instagram accounts, and one of them is purely black and white. There you go.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no, we
I was just
definitely go through these.
admiring the black and whites to myself. So yeah, this is the black and whites. I've got to print there. I don't know if the webcam will be able to pick it up, but I'll try and just show you exactly what I mean.
Jarrad, far out. Jeez. You're making me homesick, mate.
I'll skim through these quite quick because a bit of a babbler.
Beautiful. Jeez, it's such a different feeling. Black and white, isn't it, compared to the others? I'm really glad you put these in the mix and really rounding out the.
Well, this is to be honest, that's black and whites.
Yes.
Stems from my drawing was a lot of rendered stuff and HB pencils and fine liners. So I saw in black and white with my drawing right from the very start, and then got into color after that. So getting back into the black and white with my photography is, when I get something that works and I get those tones right and the scene right, it puts a pretty big smile on my face. It just, I don't know, I think it lets you take in the details. I think that's what I enjoy black and white so much. The tonage, obviously, but the details, it really pronounces those details and lets you focus without any other sort of distractions.
Oh, Milford, yeah.
Yeah. It's an awesome day.
Jeez, I've been down there for like 25 years or something.
And, so that whole New Zealand trip I had a week off work. So same thing. If I didn't have a camera, I probably wouldn't have gone. But I was like, well, I can do a lot in 5 days, 6 days, or whatever it was.
Looks like you did. Go into Queenstown and then head out to Northern.
Yeah, I literally got into Queenstown about 4 o'clock, wrangled a hire car, and I was in Wanaka by 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's pretty quick.
Well, yeah, whatever, somewhere around there. It wasn't pretty much headed straight to Wanaka and got there for sunset. So this is that dune system just south of Cervantes.
Oh, wow.
If you know where that is.
Oh, the tonality is exquisite through all of these, Jarrad.
No, I found that just from wandering around. Like I said, that first day at the park, after that cloud you can see it coming in there. But so I'm happy just to spend time in an area and just go for a wander and see what you can find, and that's it. So that's just a couple. I didn't get through all of them, but
if you want to show some more, mate, they're some of my favourites so far from tonight.
How are we going time wise?
Well, we're over our regular time by about 15, but it's our show, mate. We do what we like.
All right. Well,
the way I see it, the audience can decide what they do or don't want to sort of keep engaging with it. The beauty of having a recorded show is that you can come back and watch bits of it. But those black and whites are just exquisite, mate. So we've got a little grey screen on this one. Good old Windows player.
Yeah, I think we got through most of those. I'll have to start sifting to see which ones we missed, so I won't do that.
Up to you, mate. Whatever you feel like.
I'll just get onto this last one here, which is wildlife. Just some of the bird shots that I was talking about. If I can get this going.
You mainly drawn to birds or a range of things, or
say again, sorry?
You mainly drawn to birds or a range of things, or
mainly, my raptors.
Raptors.
Yeah, go the Raptors. But mainly birds, mainly the raptors. But I will, if I've got time up my sleeve, I'll hunt things like the fairy wrens and the smaller birds, rainbow bee eaters, and
they're harder to catch.
Yeah, they're sort of
fast. But show us what you got there, mate.
they tie into when I'm just out shooting landscapes. The raptors, I'll make sure I get out there to. I've got a few places where I know I've learnt where they hang out. So I've got a few birds that I'm able to get shots of pretty regularly if I like to. And that's the other thing, just spending the time with the birds. I've seen ospreys, build their nests, raise their young, and then the young come out the nest, then see them learning to hunt.
Oh, wow.
Same with the black-shouldered kites, and there's a whole different world there too.
Beautiful toads.
Rainbow bird on the left.
Got a dragonfly,
yeah? Yeah. So Nanking kestrel on the left, and one of the fairy wrens on the right.
Are these all with the Sigma?
Yeah, these are all with a Sigma.
So it goes all right with the focusing?
Yeah. Once you sort of know the lens, yeah, it's a pretty good lens. Really, I was surprised what I was getting out of the D7100 with it. I mean, I can see the reflections in that fly's eyes there.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't got a bad word to say about Sigma, to be honest. Their lenses have served me well.
You're ambassador, mate.
So this one here I love this one. This was another little moment I got to spend with this guy. It was raining. I don't know if it was a bit more trusting or whether he couldn't be bothered flying off, but he ended up hanging around and let me sort of spend a bit of time while it was raining just at the base of Mount Cook. So I got to see him hunting, and at the end got a nice shot of him in the rain, and got to spend some time with him. Got to learn a bit more about a bird that I've never had anything to do with. Or another raptor, learnt a bit more about another raptor. And so this is an osprey on the left. So this day here, I could bore you with stories, but this guy here, like I said, I've been down to get shots of them quite a few times. He sort of grew comfortable with me, and to the point where I've seen him hunting one day. I've seen him go out and catch the fish, and then he's flown up to the rocks down to one of the marinas here. And it was on the other side of the marina. There's only a gap where the boats come through, a small gap, and it's not far, but I've literally had to drive all the way around to the other side of the marina. He was still there. He's let me walk right up to him and literally sit a meter away from him with the camera while he was eating the fish. Wow. And just sit there and chill out with him. Took him a little bit to
yeah,
trust
I've never
me.
seen a shot quite like that, Jarrad.
Yeah, it was amazing. Just hanging out with him, and he was happy, just plod along doing his thing. And yeah, just little memories like that I value with the wildlife. And so the wrens.
Oh, beautiful. I didn't see the wren quite that colour, the blue, all the way through.
Yeah, so you guys get the splendid. This is a white-winged fairy wren. You guys get the splendid wrens over there, I think.
Yeah.
They're slightly different, got a different wings. The similar sort of blue though. Rainbow bee eaters, spring obviously, and yeah, the red tail. Twos. I think that. Oh no, there you go. There's another one of them.
Oh, there's your friend. Yeah, wow.
Devouring that fish.
He's just having a good crack at it. Oh, that's so poetic. It's beautiful. Oh, geez, it looks so powerful there. Oh, it's a spoonbill, yeah.
Spoonbill, yeah. Interesting.
Oh, beautiful and soft. Gorgeous. Here's the little lady again.
Oh, and this one, yeah, I like this one.
What have we got on the right here?
So that's a cormorant, little black cormorant. And they're the rainbow bee eaters.
Oh, rainbow bee eaters, there you go. They look like like a military flyover with a battalion.
Yeah, it was, mate. They were, on the hunt. On the hunt, they were raiding. I think this was up near Kings Park. I think they raided every bee out of the park. It was actually quite a big. Sometimes you see them in maybe groups of twos or threes or slightly larger groups. This was like 4 or 5 groups all joint up together. It was massive. But yeah, so that's another little pastime. So when I'm out in the landscape, it's nice to interact with the wildlife that's out there.
We got some comments on YouTube. Jarrad, are you considering a book with all the amazing stories behind your images?
Well, I actually had a whole lot more written down here, and I barely got through any of my story, which I apologise to everyone about. I'm a bit of
we want to know what they've missed.
mumbler.
But, we could always do a take 2, Jarrad.
That's all right. Yeah, I think I do better in a book. I'll be able to write down my words and do it all that way. But yeah, a book is something that I'm thinking about. I definitely want to put my aerials into something.
Yeah, me too.
The landscapes and the black and whites. So definitely something.
That's a really holistic kind of approach you got, Jarrad. Like I think it'd be nice to maybe finish off the show with coming back to that thread, about enrichment and how you see, the role it has in your life and how that sort of is played out through what you showed us tonight. Like, what strikes me is that there's such a diversity of genres and mindset. I think the thread that runs through to me is your skill with design and composition. There's a very graphic quality to a lot of the way you've approached subject matter that I don't always see, and those qualities come through with really organic sort of material as well, which is quite interesting. That you'll find a way that to bring graphic quality out and really kind of mixed kind of subject matter, and that's quite a consistent thread, that I see. And your choice of using the square format moves all the way through to different genres. There tends to be something that people lean towards just for aerials, but I've noticed you use it a lot in your traditional landscapes of black and whites as well, which is not something I see, but that lends a graphic quality to the images straight away. I think that format.
I think that's
sort of demands an understanding of graphic elements if you're going to even position something in a square format, I feel.
Yeah, I think the same kind of directs me into which format to go for. That's why I use the square. Sometimes the scene, it won't fit anything but that. But it all comes down to, like you're saying, it's all revolves around each other, getting out there with the wildlife. Just trying to think the best way to put it. I've learned to, obviously we all push ourselves with the imagery, and I wanted to get better and better with my imagery, but I've learned to sort of step back and not push myself so hard on that, and just appreciate and value the things that photography give me first, and base everything off that. So getting out there and interacting with the weather and the wildlife and soaking up those things while I'm out there. That's what I like to base my stuff on. I've gone through periods where I wanted to do specific subject matter and get a series going. And every time I sort of, even with competitions and things like that, I feel as soon as I start forcing it, well, not forcing it, but constructing it and not letting it just flow, it doesn't feel as comfortable for me. So a lot of it is just done without really thinking about it too much, and just going with what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. So, and that all comes back to just enjoying the time and the things that you get being out there.
We've had some really good feedback on the tonality of your black and whites as well, which struck me straight away, Jarrad, to be honest. It's rare that you see such a consistent handling and quite a powerful handling of tone through black and whites through all of them, which I really appreciated.
No, I appreciate that, Paul. Yeah, a lot of that comes down to learning with the pencils first. Yeah.
So where to from here, mate?
Catch up on some sleep, get the boys sorted and keep them happy, and make sure they get the gifts that I've been given.
Oh, what a beautiful attitude. Yeah.
And then, photography keeps me happy, and I'm sure that'll also get the boys out there. They'll see things because of photography as well. So I'm just, keeping photography as a fun thing, and just focusing on, signage. I get a bit itchy, and I can't complain because the work's there, but the signage is taken up a good chunk of time. So I'm just looking forward to sort of getting a bit of breathing room in that area and getting out a bit more. The boys, my eldest is growing up a bit more now. So things.
How old are they now?
So I've got a little boy, Jacob, he's 6, and my other little boy, Elias, he's 2 years old. So Jacob's just at the point where he's really enjoying coming out. So that's a good gift for me, is getting them showing things. And
Great.
so for the next few years, it'll just be keeping photography as something to get joy from and bring joy into my life and the boys' life.
I find that, I mean, being a full-time photographer, it's in some ways it's more of a challenge. In some ways it's less, because I do what I love all the time, but it's it's different. You know, someone like Scotty McCook's one of my best mates, and we shoot quite a lot together. But you know, I'm probably 95% of the time I'm doing photography, where he's probably 5% of the time. And so our relationship with it's quite different, you know. And so when we shoot together, he's got a whole other things he's trying to get out of photography that I get out of it all the time. And he's trying to pack it into this kind of intense, smaller experience. So it's and obviously I've got more of a commercial angle sometimes I want to try to create, whereas his is more soulful and spiritual and fulfilling and enriching and other sort of ways, you know. So he doesn't have I can't speak for Scotty. I guess Scotty can speak for himself, but it's different when you're not relying on it to put food on the table, put it that way. There's a certain pressure that's off and a certain room for creativity, but there's also an extra pressure because you don't have as much time to put into it. So it's quite interesting being a parallel with other shooters that are coming from different sort of backgrounds with their photography and different relationships to it in their life.
What everyone's pulling from.
Enrichment works in a lot of different ways, you know. It's time, it's engagement, it's being with nature, it's creative flow, it's expression. In some ways, for me, you know, it's even putting food on the table as well. It's legacy. It's insight into the world and into yourself that you wouldn't probably engage with as much. It's it's a lot of things for a lot of people.
A lot of things, and at the end of the day, the memories that you take with you, you have all those images in your head, don't you? All those beautiful memories to fall back on and take with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I've got nieces and nephews, but not my own boys. But I can imagine how much I'd be excited to sort of help them see the world a little bit differently, and maybe a little bit more objectively, with a bit more awareness, maybe through a lens. You know, you focus a little bit more, and you pick up on things you wouldn't pay attention to otherwise, and it can help you engage with the world in a lot more conscious sort of way, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. A lot more involved.
So, Jarrad, how would you invite people to see more of your work? One of our viewers just said, Jarrad's got 4 Instagram accounts. And I was like, I know you had 3.
Yeah, well, I tried to separate everything so it was a bit more consistent. Not everyone was getting bombarded, but yeah. So obviously, I've got the aerials at Jarrad Parker Aerials on Instagram. The landscape stuff is Jarrad Parker Aerials, and the black and white Jarrad Parker Black and White. But everything is on my website, so jarradparkerphotography.com. Feel free to jump on there and have a look through the galleries and a bit more succinct story about myself on there. I've got a fair bit of stuff there about my backstory, and so if you've missed anything or haven't sort of covered anything properly, it's all written down there. So
sometimes it's depending on how people express themselves, it can be easier to be more succinct and clear when you write things, you know, than with your face in front of a camera, it's sort of it's more considered often. Had a bit of time to settle.
Yeah.
The words, yeah.
No, definitely. But yeah, that's where all that stuff is. So feel free.
And yeah, if you missed any of the show, or you know somebody else that might be really interested in Jarrad's work, then once it's up, and it should be shortly after tonight, and feel free to pass it on, pass on the link. That's the beauty of having a YouTube channel like this, is they're all up there ready to share. So for you, Jarrad, if you're anyone you want to share the show with, family, friends, or otherwise, it'll be up there for people to enjoy. So
yeah, for sure.
really appreciate your time, mate. And I was one of the chosen to be allowed to interact.
No, I appreciate you having me on, mate. I really do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share a little about myself and putting up with me.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for quite a while, Jarrad, to be honest. So thank you.
Yep, no, for sure.
And I've seen a lot more insight into your work than I ever even thought was there, mate. There's so much depth and layering, and
I appreciate
the
that,
breadth to sort of the way you see the world, and to see the threads that you run through them at the same time as well is really beautiful. That's moving towards science and mastery when you see that in people's work, those consistent sort of threads and that personal style and who they are starts coming into the images as much as what they're seeing.
Yeah, no, you guys, your imagery has inspired me big time, and the guys like Chris and Scotty and Christian and Tony and all those guys. So that, yeah, I thank all you guys, Ricardo, what you guys have given, and learning what I've pulled and learnt from you guys just from studying, how you do things and your imagery. I've actually, learned a lot from you guys, and that's saying a lot as well. So if I'm pulling things off the images you're posting from Instagram, that's showing how much of a master you are, mate. So, and the rest of the boys. But so thank you for
talented shooters in this country. We'll see if you can get to Chris's exhibition, mate. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I saw.
You got a lot on your plate, but I'd certainly be having a crack if I could.
Yeah, I luckily got a quick look at one when he had it down at Team Digital there. So
yeah, this one's, I think it's in a different spot, but he was literally announcing it today, actually. So it's
okay.
Have a look, see if you go. The boys might even appreciate it, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I could stop Jacob from touching everything. Play it safe.
Just warn the boys ahead of time.
I'll walk out on bloody 10 grand. Just ruin 3 prints, 2 prints. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, no, definitely got to go down to it.
Keep enriching your lives and your family's life and the boys' life with it, mate. It's a wonderful gift you got there, my friend.
No, thanks very much.
And hopefully I get to click a beer with you at some stage in person. And
that'd be good.
I love shooting with people. So if the stars align to do something together, then I'm totally up for it, mate.
For sure, mate. No, feel free, give us a shout. That'd be good.
All right. Well, I'll sign off now. We've had a good run for the show. So thanks again, everyone. Have a good week.
Cheers for your time.
We may have a break next week. We'll just see. We've had a good long run, and make sure to follow up and have a good look at Jarrad's work. With all those different accounts and his sites back up. He's put a bit of work into that lately, I think. And keep enriching your life with photography. Why not? It's one of the most beautiful things to do in the world.
For sure.
All right. Well, I'll say goodnight and farewell to you all, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Cheers, Paulie.
All right. Night, Jarrad.
Cheers, mate.